All right, so in this video, I'm going to tell you how you can write amazing leads for VSLs super easily. I'm going to try to do it as fast as possible while making this the best breakdown, the last breakdown, the only thing you're going to need in order to write leads. And this comes from a request from one of the members. So if you ask for it, you will get it. Okay, so let's break it down. First, for those who don't know, let's quickly explain what a lead is and why it's important, and then we're going to go right into the meat of it. So a lead is basically the beginning or opening of a VSL or text sales letter. Okay, whenever you watch a VSL or a TSL, or you're reading like a text sales letter, it's always going to start with some kind of intro. Okay, typically the lead is about like the first 800 to 1,000 words, depending on if it's a long form VSL or a short VSL. Typically, the structure of a VSL is going to go lead, background story, credibility. It'll then explain the unique mechanism of the problem, unique mechanism of the solution. It'll get into how the product was created, and then it'll go into the close / the offer, and then FAQ. Very classic structure for any sort of VSL, and you can either have a long version of that or a short version of that. And so the lead is typically the beginning of it, and after you've seen enough leads, you can kind of typically tell where the lead begins and where it ends, and after this video, you'll be able to understand that as well. Okay. Now, leads are also probably the most important part of copy. I would say like headline / the opening, so the first few hundred words are like the most important thing because that's the thing most people see, so it has the biggest effect on conversions. But lead, in terms of like everything that kind of comes after that initial hook or initial opening, is also pretty important. I've seen lifts of as much as 40% plus. Just by changing a few words inside the lead. So getting really good at leads is pretty powerful. And most people are not that good at them. Historically, after reviewing so many different leads and things like that, by the way, my name is Luke Iha. I don't think I mentioned this before. I'm a copywriter. I've sold well over $100 million worth of goods with my stuff. I teach other copywriters and now creative strategists, brands, and marketers how to just get better at doing copy, doing persuasion, etc. Okay. I've written a ton of VSLs, a lot of VSLs that have done very well. And I've also reviewed a lot of people's stuff. So a lot of people are not that great at leads, but luckily there's a really basic formula. It's super formulaic once you know how to write them, which is what I'm going to show you how to do in here. Okay. The best way to think about a lead, actually, let me just show you an example of a lead so you know what we're talking about. Here's a classic lead from something that I wrote a while back. And I like to use this as an example, one, because this letter did really well, but also because this is just like textbook form for what a lead should look like, okay? So it's going to start with like your headline, and then it's going to start with, this is what I would call kind of like the micro lead, right? This is like the hook or the opening. Then we get into talking about everything that's going to be inside the product. So we're going to talk about the proof, we're going to talk about the pain point, we're going to talk about the new opportunity, the new solution, we're going to talk about a lot of benefits, we're going to talk about testimonials, we're going to talk about credibility, kind of addressing skepticism, we're going to go deeper into pain points, we're going to have future pacing stuff in here, we're going to have fascinations, telling people why they need to pay attention, et cetera, okay? So those are a lot of the beats. I just want to kind of give you a viewpoint so you have a reference for it, but we're going to go deeper into those leads in a little bit there. Now, one of the best ways to think about a lead is like it's a movie trailer for watching the VSL. Okay? It's a movie trailer for watching the rest of the VSL. If you've ever seen a movie trailer, everyone has seen a movie trailer, they don't give away the entire plot. They don't explain everything that goes into it, but they do hook your attention and make you want to watch more, right? They're giving you kind of the best scenes and stuff like that, but they're not giving you enough information that you feel like you don't need to watch the movie. And that's the same thing with the lead. You want to give just enough information that they're hooked. They're like, oh my God, I got to find out what this thing is about. So I'm invested in it, but I don't want to give too much away that they feel like, oh, I already kind of know what he's talking about. I'm not interested, right? And they self-select out. That's super important. So you want to whet people's appetite without giving away too much. That is what the lead is for. Okay. Another way to think about the lead is a sales letter for the sales letter. So in order for a sales letter to work, people have to consume it, right? And so in order to consume it, you have to convince people, again, persuade them or sell them on the idea of watching the sales letter, right? And then the ad is basically the sales letter for the lead, which is the sales letter for the sales letter, and the sales letter is for the product, okay? And maybe the product is another type of sales letter for your main product, et cetera, Okay, so it's just these little micro loops of getting people's attention. That's how you want you to think about it philosophically. Now, super high level, we're going to go detailed into the structure in a second, but super high level, a lead is basically going to start with the micro lead, which is just the little hook that you sort of get the foot in the door with. Then you go into the lead body, which basically means you hit a bunch of different points, and I'll give you the formula for the points. You just hit them almost in any order. And then finally, you get to the call to action, which is just, hey, keep reading or keep watching. That's it. So there's really only 3 parts to it. So if you nail the opening, and then you hit all the right points in the checklist that I'll give you, and you don't go too long and fuck it up, you're going to get them to keep reading, and then it's pretty good. Okay? So a couple other things. Most full-length VSLs are typically around 30 to 60 minutes long, which means your lead, could be as long as 1,200 words, but typically a sweet spot is about 600 to 800 words. And then your micro lead, which is, again, is the hook that you put right in the very beginning, that's about 50 to 200 words. Okay? And then a shorter mini VSL is just going to be a more compact version of that. So, for example, let's say that this is like an 8,000 word VSL, and that lasts about 40 minutes. Let's say then you wanted to do like a 1,000 word VSL or a 2,000 word VSL. So just divide all these numbers by 4, right? Just kind of shrink it a little bit. So instead, your lead may end up being anywhere from like 150 to 200 words, right? And this will just be a couple sentences. Okay, so it's fractal in nature, by which I mean, if it's longer, just expand things longer. And if you're doing a shorter version, a 3 to 4 minute VSL or a 10-minute VSL or a 20-minute VSL, then you can just sort of collapse these ratios themselves. Okay. Also, we'll talk about micro leads in just a second, but I want to give you some examples of high curiosity openings. So here's one, and I'm going to use a lot of health VSLs. Here's a dating one on here. I'm just pulled the ones that I know have done well and that people have written who I know well. So my business partner wrote this one. This one is a classic from like John Benson and Joshua Pellisier. This one here was written by my original mentor, Stephen Georgi. This one, I don't know who wrote it, but that was like a ClickBank one, which has kind of become a classic now. And I'll put some stuff that I've written in here as well. Okay, so some of the stuff is going to be from health, but you can apply it for anything else. So here's an example of a high curiosity opening. Hello, my name is Dr. Drew Sutton, and today I want to show you something that few people get a chance to see. This is a pair of 2,500-year-old teeth from one of our ancestors. It looks like this after being buried deep, et cetera, et cetera. This is an example of a paradoxical question opening. Okay, so that's something that's just going to get people hooked in right away. It's very concrete, good paradoxical question. Here's another one. Scientists at the prestigious National Cancer Research Institute in Spain didn't set out to find the secret to human immortality. Instead, they were trying to answer the simple question, why do some animals have longer lifespan than others? Okay, so that's an example of opening from my mentor, Stephen Georgi. Again, a paradoxical question opening. Here's another one that's sort of just like a pattern interrupt. My name is Josh. This is a fish. In just a few minutes, I'm going to show you how this fish will help you get laid. Specifically, it's like an analogy-based lead where you have some sort of object and you connect that to your mechanism. Here's a story-based lead. Mommy, did I hurt you? I'm sorry, Mommy. When those panic words poured out of my 3-year-old daughter Sage's mouth, took every ounce of strength I had not to cry in front of her. Again, this is from a back renewal one that did really, really well. Okay, those are examples of micro leads. Those are just the hooks that you have right on top. The reason I'm talking about this is because when people are talking about writing a lead, you're really just talking about like, how do I make this thing fucking work and sell more? Okay, a big majority is going to come from these micro leads, from high curiosity stuff. Most people, when they write leads, are super, super boring, right? It sounds literally like everything else, right? If you're so-and-so, no disrespect to Gary Halbert, because this was his formula, but if you're blah, 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 what I'm about to show you is the most important letter you've ever seen, okay? Or another example, like, just lead with the direct promise, right? If you, I guarantee that you'll get this, blah, 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 or you don't pay. That's super great for like B2B direct market. But it's just boilerplate. It's kind of like the low-hanging fruit. And sometimes being direct and being basic is great. But in general, high curiosity stuff, really taking the time to get good at curiosity. That's one of the copy blocks we talk a lot about, curiosity. Getting good at that is going to be powerful, right? So like, this paradoxical question, this pattern interrupt, doing a good story, those things are magical. So micro leads do such heavy lifting. This stuff is so short and so small, and yet people are not very good at it. AI can be good at it. I'll show you in a second, but people are not good at getting AI to do it right. So if you do that, a lot of what you do after the micro lead is boilerplate, meaning it literally is a template. Like, yes, you can do it better or worse job at it, but a lot of the stuff is just, you got to hit the right points and don't fuck it up. Okay, that's basically it. So if you get the micro lead right with high curiosity, you hit the right checklist, which I'm about to give you, and you don't fuck up the rest, you're going to have a pretty good lead. Okay, so here's an example of all the elements that you typically want to hit. So you want to call out the problem, promise solution, tease story. A lot of this is from RNBC. Again, that's Stefan, my mentor. That's his original one, so that's the one he trained me on. But I'm going to give you some stuff that I've added and made a little bit different. I think maybe we'll make it a little bit clearer, and added some different things on there just that are also just preference. Okay, so call out problem, promise, solution. Again, this is like our pain point, our copy blocks, our problem and promise. Tease the story, right? So if there's a story either about how you discovered this or like a story of how to get it, again, it doesn't need to be long. It could literally be like a sentence, right? People are like, oh, I don't want to go up with this like big horror story. It seems too cliche, but people love stories. And so literally one sentence is enough to tell an entire story, okay? And so that just adds to the quality of it. Tease the contrarian nature, tease the unique mechanism, giving it a nickname, addressing skepticism, credibility improved, testimonials, even if without, which is like constraints, qualifiers, which are conditions from copy blocks, fascinations, which are like curiosity bullets, introducing who's speaking, future pacing, talking about failed solutions, why common advice is wrong, telling them why they need to watch now, and then transitioning to the rest of the sales letter. Those are the main elements, that you want to hit. And typically, you can hit them in almost any order, right? So you could be like, hey, here's this goldfish, and this goldfish is going to teach you how to get laid. And if you're skeptical, I understand, but in a minute, so it's like, where is that? If you're skeptical, I understand, but in a minute, you're going to figure out why this 3-second goldfish technique actually flies in the face of almost everything that you've ever seen before in the past. Trust me, this is not cold approach. This is not social game. This is not texting or Hinge. In fact, it's something completely different. It's something that more than 7,500 different men have already used, including this guy and this guy and this guy. And how do I know I was a loser, blah, 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 blah. But now I'm dating all these different models. And inside, I'm going to show you how to do that too. Plus, I'm going to show you blank, 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 and blank, 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 and blank, blank, blank. But you have to watch right now because I don't know how much longer this thing is going to be online, right? It all happened when I found this story. Again, so you can go in whatever order that you want to go in as long as you're hitting a lot of these points. You don't even have to hit all these points. But in general, that's what you're going to do. Now, if you know copy blocks, which I encourage everyone to watch, there's a video on here which is just going to make writing copy so easy for you. Really, just hit these things. Okay? Just hit these things. And you'll see that almost everything in here falls under this category, right? So problem falls under pain. Promise solution falls under promise. Tease the story falls under the curiosity. Tease the contrarian nature falls under the curiosity. Unique mechanism falls under curiosity. Unique nickname, curiosity. Address skepticism falls under proof. Credibility and proof obviously falls under proof. Testimonials falls under proofs. Even if without, falls under constraints. Okay, so as long as you hit your copy blocks and have a good micro lead opening, you're going to be pretty good. But this is just a little bit more granular, so I want to show you those elements. Okay, now, like I said, you can hit them in any order. However, this is typically the overall meta structure of what you follow. Okay, so you have your micro lead, like I mentioned. Let me actually do it like this because I've done this before in the past. People found it really helpful. So your micro lead, let's say that this is about maybe 5 to 10% of your lead. That's your hook phase. Then you'll go into like hook phase, build belief phase, handle objections, and close. So if this is maybe, let's say this is like 10% of your lead, this will be like 10 to 15% of your lead. Build belief phase, maybe like 15 to 20%. Handle objections, maybe 20 to 25%. And then the close would be 20 to 25%. Let's see if this adds up to close to 100. That's like what? 40 to 50. This is like 25, whatever. Yeah, so I'm a little bit under, so maybe I would bump this up a little bit here, okay? Again, none of these are absolutes. I'm just trying to give you guidelines for the structure of your lead, okay? And I'm going to show you a bunch of examples so you know how to do it yourself. But really, don't overthink it. Just hit these points and have a really good opening, okay? So this would be your micro lead. We already talked about that. Then your hook phase is basically immediately where you get into talking about the main promise that you're going to solve and the unique mechanism. Okay. Then you're going to want to go into the building belief phase in here. Okay. This is where you're really like showing the proof and credibility. Then you want to handle all the objections that are going to come up, and then you want to kind of close them. And again, get their attention, tell them what this is. So this is, instead of hook phase, this is almost like like your direct promise. Like, what is the thing? Why are they even watching this? So you get their attention. You tell them kind of what's in it for them with your unique mechanism. Then you're going to build up the belief once they're interested in it. Then they're going to have tons of objections. You handle those objections, and then you emphasize the urgency of why they need to watch this thing right now. So again, let me just pull up this example. Okay, so this would be my micro lead, as you see in here. Okay, so I'm getting their attention with a visual kind of concrete metaphor. Okay, this is very similar to this goldfish lead, right? The goldfish lead is saying this goldfish is going to help you get laid, and I'm saying this river is going to help you fix your joints. Okay, we're using an analogy or a concrete metaphor or a natural metaphor to kind of hook their attention. They work really, really well. Then we're going into here we're going into sort of like the direct promise that people have, right? So the outcome. So basically what I'm telling them is I'm introducing this idea of joint drought. I'm talking about why it causes pain. I'm talking about the fact that there's a fix. There's a joint remedy I'm about to tell you about. And I go all through the benefits that you're here. And this is why you need to watch the presentation. Okay? So I've hooked their attention. Now I've sort of told them the direct promise, my unique mechanism and the pain and the promise that they're going to get to. Then I'm sort of moving into the belief building phase where I'm explaining, here's the testimonials, right? I'm explaining who I am. I'm talking about all these other sort of things that they tried and that this is unlike anything else. I'm talking about the fact that I'm a doctor, that I've seen how this works, right? I'm empathizing with them. So I'm glad you're here because you're in the right place. Okay? Now I'm obliterating all their objections. Okay? So like, no matter what you've been told in the past, you could be doing this, right? I'm future pacing them. Once you see the science, you're going to be sure about it, right? And then I just kind of hook their attention down here. All right? So hopefully this is making sense so far. And that's basically it. Micro leads and hooks, then the body of the lead, going from the core outcome plus the mechanism, to belief through proof, to handling objections, to creating urgency, and I add curiosity here, to continue watching. That's it. Okay. Now, like I said, we have micro leads. Let me do it like this, actually. Let me go ahead. So here's these lead elements. And by the way, if you want access to this sheet with all the leads and everything else, there's a place to opt in, and I'll add it to that. You just opt into the email list. I think you respond to something, and I send you a list that has all my trainings, bunch of links, bunch of bots, bunch of everything. It's a ton of value that you can get just by opting in that way. Okay? So here's the different lead elements, all the different ones. And then what I've done is I provided 4 different leads, examples here, all from very successful, like verified, multi-million-dollar sales letters, all the leads that were in here. And then basically I have a reverse outline so you can see sort of the structure of them. Okay, so this is the Genesis lead. This is from my business partner, Stephen Georgi, probably one of my favorite things that he ever wrote. I won't read through it too much, but let me just kind of highlight the main points, and we'll do it with this. So it opens with the micro lead. Then we're teasing the contrarian nature, right, that this challenges this belief. Then we're teasing the mechanism. We're talking about all the credibility and proof. We're promising a solution. Then we're future pacing what that solution is like. Then we're going through testimonials. We're talking about how it costs pennies, not millions. Future pacing some more. Going through fascinations, which are bullets. Addressing skepticism, et cetera, okay? Now, one of the things that's important to know about leads is at the end of the lead, it's nice to do little fascinations. So fascinations are like these little like pockets of copy that are very copy block dense. So again, if you understand copy blocks, they're super high curiosity. Many people know bullets. You can just research them. This is not a training or video on bullets, so we won't go too deep. But they're really, really powerful, especially at the end, because the way it was described to me is like, look, you may hook their attention with the micro lead, and maybe you kind of hook their attention with your mechanism and your angle and your story. But this fascinations gives you like, typically 2, 3, 4 shots on goal to kind of hook their attention again with something else, right? Maybe they weren't 100% sold on watching the whole video, but you mentioned one little thing and they're like, oof, I do want to watch that. I do want to know that specific fascination, okay? So that thing is pretty powerful. Some examples of fascinations here. I'll explain why this joint drought is one of the real reasons behind people's stiffness. I'll explain this ultra 5-second remedy I mentioned that could potentially rejuvenate your joints. I'll tell you about the Harvard scientists who proved wear and tear is nothing more than a myth. And I'll reveal the #1 hidden cartilage destroyer most people have no idea about, as well as how to protect yourself from it, right? So those are examples of fascinations in here. If you look at Stefan's, shocking twin study, Chernobyl effect, newly discovered string substance, and the controversial immortality equation that Spanish researchers now say holds the key to never-ending human life. Okay? Again, just look at the density of the curiosity and the promises and the pain points, things like that. So really good fascinations here. This goldfish one, I'm pretty sure has no fascinations, right? So you don't even need them all. Yeah, this one's super short, no fascinations. This one's from my business partner. I don't think it has any fascinations. And then Arthur Zine, you already looked at those ones on there. Okay, so these are the different lead element outlines. The reason I put them here is so you can see that, again, you know, when you're writing copy, you can write it in a very linear sort of like block by block thing, but the best copy kind of weaves together. You're always hitting pain points. You're always hitting promises. You're weaving things together in a natural flow, and this sort of emerges based on whatever it is that you're talking about, okay? So my main point is, again, just to reemphasize, you start with your hook, your micro lead, then you go into the body of your lead where you're just hitting all these elements. Again, there's sort of a general order, but you can hit them in whatever order makes sense. You can leave some different ones out, but as long as you're hitting a good majority of these different ones, these different elements that I gave you, your lead is going to be pretty good, okay? So you don't have to stress it too much, and you have tons of examples on here, okay? All right, good. So let's talk about micro leads real quick. So micro leads, again, are the hooks that you put on top, typically anywhere from 500 to 1,000 words, or 50 to 200 words, is what I mean. And if leads are the most important part of copy, then micro leads are the most important part of a lead, okay? Just a short amount of copy. It's the thing that most people are going to see, so obviously it's going to have the biggest effect, right? If most people are tuning out here, it doesn't really matter how good the rest of the VSL is. Nobody's going to stick around to watch it, okay? So fixing the micro lead is going to be super important. Okay, here's examples of high curiosity openings. So contrarian claims, insider confessions, paradoxical questions. You've seen examples here. Look closer, surprise connection, invisible difference, quiz opening. Again, these are different ones on here that you can see. They've worked over and over and over again. Like hundreds of VSLs, or at least dozens off the top of my head that I can think of, that were super high performing have started with one of these. Okay, if you look at the Wall Street Journal one, like what makes the difference between these two guys, or what makes the difference between this dog and this dog? Surprise connection, here's how a goldfish can help you get laid. Look closer, take a look at this eggshell, right? Inside of this eggshell, you're going to see blank, blank, blank. Paradoxical question, why is it these 2,500-year-old teeth buried in the dirt look better than the teeth that are sitting inside your head? Insider confession, I'm a dermatologist for over 20 years, and what I'm about to tell you flies in the face of everything you've ever heard about keeping your skin healthy, right? Contrarian claim, stop drinking water if you want your skin to look better. Quiz opening, which of these vegetables kills your testosterone? Broccoli, carrots, or asparagus, right? Most people don't really know, blah, 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 blah. So all of these have worked. I'm citing specific examples of VSLs I know that have done multi-million dollars, and they just follow these basic patterns. So use them, okay? Really powerful. Like you can have your entire copy career, every lead you ever write, you can just use a list of here, okay? Here's some examples of micro leads. Hold on. Yeah. Here's some examples of micro leads. Again, this is from ones that I wrote for a skincare VSL that's performing right now. So here's a look closer one. Look at this simple glass of water. If you're like most women concerned about aging, you probably heard that drinking plenty of water is the most important thing you can do for your skin. It's nature's anti-aging miracle. Plumps up your skin scales, flushes out toxins, gives you that coveted healthy glow. What I'm about to share with you, something I've observed treating thousands of private clients in Palm Beach and Boca, many who spent small fortunes, is that most water is actually aging your skin faster. Nearly all of water in America is what we call dead water. I'm not talking about mineral content or pH levels or filtering or even those trendy wellness water celebrities keep promoting. What's missing is something entirely different, something so shocking, something that shocked our entire researching, something so unexpected it changed everything we thought you knew about skin aging. In fact, this discovery explains why most water actually steals moisture from your skin cells, creating that dreaded overnight aging effect where you wake up looking years older. Okay, here's an example of a micro lead. To be honest, if I were to go back in time, I would probably make this shorter. It's about 235 words. I'd probably cut this almost in half and get to the point a little bit more, right? Most women don't, as a dermatologist, most women are shocked to hear that your water could be making you age faster, right? Typically, you want to get right to the punch a little bit faster. Here's an example of a quiz. Which type of water is best for your skin? Mineral water, alkaline water, spring water, filtered tap water, distilled water. Don't worry if you're not sure of the answer, because as somebody who sits on the International Board of Anti-Aging Medicine and runs one of Palm Beach's most exclusive dermatology practices, I can tell you that most skin doctors get this wrong. Here's what's really frustrating. Every dermatologist, celebrity, and beauty influencer keeps telling you to drink more water, yet none of them ever tell you exactly what kind of water you should be doing today. Okay, so this is pretty good. Again, I'm always a critic of my own work. I would go back and fix this. Pop quiz, which type of water is best for your skin? Blank, 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 blank. Don't worry if you're not sure of the answer, because most dermatologists don't know. And in fact, they don't know that most water is actually stealing moisture from your skin cells, creating that dreaded overnight look. That's probably way more direct, and then you could go into the proof stuff. Okay, but this is an example of a quiz one. And here's another one. Here's a look closer, or a comparison lead. Look at these two photos carefully. This might be the shocking comparison I've ever seen in my 30 plus years of anti-aging medicine. The woman on the left is 65 years old, a grandmother from South Korea. The woman on the right, she's only 35 and American. And somehow the Korean grandmother's skin looks decades younger. Okay, now if you're thinking this comes down to those elaborate Korean skincare or some super secret ingredient or even superior Asian genetics, let me stop you right there. Okay, and then you can go into everything on there. So those are examples of micro leads. Again, those are the openings that create high curiosity stuff that engages people and gets them to keep watching. Okay, and then you go into the rest of the lead from there. Okay, common mistakes is not getting to the promise quick enough. So a lot of times people write leads and they just don't get to the promise quick enough. The other one is writing them too long. A lot of people love, their own stuff, but as you can see, this goldfish lead is probably 500 words long. Wow, almost on the money, 478. And it's right to the point and it works. Okay, so you don't need to be super elaborate with it all the time. Typically 600 to 800 words is the sweet spot, max. If you can do it shorter, do it shorter. Some people give away way too much. Remember, you want to tease, do the trailer, right? If you watch the movie trailer and it told you all the plot points and all the twists, you'd be pretty bummed out. Okay, you wouldn't want to watch the movie. So keep that in mind. And then weak curiosity opening microscript is super important. Okay. Let's look at these winning examples real quick. So here's the Genesis lead. Again, this is probably too long for me to read through here, but it basically starts with a paradoxical question. Okay, I love this opening. Right, it starts with a paradoxical question. Then they talk about this hidden death clock. Then we're talking about all of these promises and pain points and things like that. Talk about all the proof. It's backed up in here. Even more proof. The fact that it costs pennies. Future pacing. Fascinations. Keep going. Boom, done. I mean, it's just structurally, it's like a masterpiece, right? It fits all the right things that you want it to hit. And this thing crushed, okay? Goldfish lead, classic. My name is Josh, this is the fish. In just a few minutes, I'm gonna show you how this little fish will help you get laid. I'll do it without teaching you cheesy pickup lines that don't work, okay? So constraints, without letting you spend a dime on dinner and drinks, without anyone ever noticing you're using the techniques on this. But first, I gotta warn you. And we go through everything on here. This is from my business partner. Back pain. Mommy, did I hurt you? I'm sorry, Mommy. When those panic words poured out of my 3-year-old daughter Sage's mouth, took every ounce of strength I had not to cry in front of her. A few seconds earlier, this little bundle of joy was waddling down the hallway in her pajamas with outstretched arms and the biggest, sweetest smile on her face. All she wanted to do was give Mommy a good morning hug. But as I reached down to pick her up, it happened again. And if you ever dealt with bad back before, you know it's never good news. I felt my body lock up immediately. Then an excruciating jolt shot from my legs all the way through my spine. I couldn't help but let out a scream, which caused my precious little girl's lips to quiver in shock. I slowly lowered her to the ground and collapsed onto the couch. And in that moment, the only thing worse than all the pain and stiffness raging through my body was the guilt I felt for upsetting my daughter. But as traumatic as that morning was, this hug gone wrong ended up being one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it led me to a life-changing discovery, a specific sequence of simple, easy, gentle, 10-second movements that reset my back health and made me feel as good as new again. Thanks to this 10-second spinal reset sequence, I was finally able to put an end to the years of frustrating flare-ups and get back to actually living life, where I could walk, run, lift, drive, bend, play with my kids, and give them the biggest hugs without zero hesitation. The best part, I'm not the only one this breakthrough discovery has worked for, because the same 10-second spinal reset sequence has already helped over blank, blank, blank. Women and men of all ages enjoy rapid relief from their back discomfort too. I'm talking about people who are close to giving up hope of ever feeling good again. In a few cases, their backs were so bad they even scheduled surgery as a desperate last resort, because they tried all the pain pills and topical creams and the hot pads and cold presses, the chiropractic adjustments and electrostimulation machines, and none of these things ever provided more than temporary relief. Neither did the weird yoga stretches, the uncomfortable inversion tables, or the time-wasting physical therapy. And it just keeps going. Okay, again, you should be noticing the patterns, right? It's all the same shit. It's not this, it's not that, right? Here's a named mechanism, the characterization. Here's all the proof that we're going into. And then we're telling them, like, hey, like, this is one of the most important ones. Tell them to watch the thing. People are compliant. They'll listen to what you say. So tell them, I promise you, watch this. Just make sure you watch this video to the end. Trust me, it's going to change. It's going to give you your life back, et cetera, et cetera. Here's my Arthrazine one. This is the Verzasca River in the Swiss Alps. As you can see, it's flowing with clear, fresh water. And if you know anything about joints, this is how our joints are supposed to look, with clear, cooling fluid rushing between the gaps that keeps them smooth and hydrated. Unfortunately, so many people's joints, especially as they get older, look more like this, a dry, cracked, and hot wasteland. It's no wonder, then, that top scientists from places like Harvard University now agree the real culprit behind most joint problems actually has very little to do with cartilage or wear and tear, as we've been led to believe. Instead, it comes down to what's called joint drought, when all the usual cooling, lubricating fluid in your joint begins to dry out, leaving behind irritating sediment, bubbling, oozing chemicals, and festering waste that makes your joints feel sore, stiff, and uncomfortable. Once you understand the reality of this drought, it becomes clear why so many people, especially seniors, find themselves so stiff they can hardly get out of bed in the morning, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Lots of skepticism addressing in here. A lot of future pacing, right? Literally, in just 1 week from now, you could find yourself waking up and climbing out of bed without any soreness for the first time in years. You'll walk down the stairs to your kitchen with ease. As you sip your morning coffee and plan your day, suddenly every possibility is open back up to you. Okay? There's a lot of psychology that goes into the lines, the specific lines in each of them. Okay? I don't have time to go deep into them, but maybe in the future I could do a read if that seems interesting. But just to kind of point out some different ones, because these are the subtleties that matter quite a bit. So as I'm doing the future pacing, if you know anything about this market, you know the biggest thing, the one I call the core wound, which is like their deepest psychological torture, is this idea of having your options closed off from you, right? Of being like not having freedom. So I'm saying, I'm not just talking about, oh, you're going to feel great. I'm saying every possibility is open back up for you. Then I go through the examples. That's so powerful. It's like literally the feeling they feel in their body is constriction and like I can't do anything. And now I'm opening up the possibility, right? That's really the deep emotional promise beyond the pain that's in here. Again, look at how I emphasize it on here. Independent, self-sufficient, and free to move in your own body. Right? So super, super powerful. If you look in this, we're hitting the emotions of being this mother, right? Describing her like in the cutest way possible, waddling down the hallway in her pajamas, precious little girl. But look at stuff like here, right? Like traumatic and upsetting and things like that. Like just hitting some of those deeper emotional ones, because there's a lot of women, who looked at that product. This one, again, this is sort of like anti-aging. So a lot of anti-aging, they have sort of this kind of weird anger towards and frustration with younger people, right? So talking about like pulsing natural energy that will have energy drink slamming millennials scratching their heads and begging to know your secret, right? So it's sort of like a jab at their enemies. Okay, so again, all these different leads, I mean, this one has tons of that psychology in here, right? The biggest objection that men have in men's dating, the biggest thing they want to know is they want to know very specific words to say, and they don't want to get caught using techniques because that's shameful, okay? So again, pretty simple, but it's important to understand that. So all of these leads have like deep underlying psychology that's making them work, but again, they're just following the same structure, right? But I want to highlight some of those things as well. All right, so we went through that. Now I want to show you an example of writing a lead from scratch. I'm going to use AI for this process. But it's quite simple. I'm going to do it in kind of a bootleg way, and I'm going to show you. We have two different bots. We have a bunch of bots in here that will write full sales letters. But what's cool is that once you understand the elements that go into the sales letter and the basic structure, all you need to do is instead of writing it, you just need to figure out, okay, what's my problem? What's my solution? What's my story? Etc. Write these things out, and then you can put them in AI, in a cloud project or something like that, and it'll be able to write the VSL for you. Or you could use one of the bots that we have. So, for here, these are the specific inputs that I use. Again, copy blocks, which build-a-buyer is our avatar thing that everyone steals all the time. These are the specific inputs. Again, you don't need to overcomplicate it. This is just stuff that we share inside of Genesis. And here's an example of what this would be. Again, for one of the products that I did. There's a little more information on here, but I'm going to do a bootleg version and see what we can do even without that. So I'm going to switch over to this. We have a bunch of our bots, but inside of Genesis, this is the tool that we have. It's called the Client Oracle because originally it had a lot of client stuff in it, but we're going to use it. It really will write anything for you, okay? So we're adding things in here. Let's go with the lead bot. And what's cool is if you have documents and stuff, like if you wanted to pop this stuff in there, it could write a lead for you, but I'm going to do it just with this stuff that you see. Speaker background and credibility, the story of the problem, the characterizations, which are my nicknames, my testimonials, failed solutions, and fascinations. Hey, it's Dr. Mark Rosenberg here, and inside this presentation, that dermatologists, plastic surgeons, the makers of $300 face creams would strongly prefer you not to watch. I'm going to give you the same 5-second morning ritual that Lisa used to recover her collapsed collagen and erase years of deep lines from her face that any woman can start using immediately. Okay, so good. It goes right through the whole process. We have specific testimonials that I provided. It's going to keep writing a little bit more than it needs to, but this is the lead right here, and it's pretty much done. Okay, just go through that process. Super, super easy. Now, the next thing I might want to do is I may want to do like a micro lead. So I could say, give me 10 micro lead ideas. Overnight collapse, dead water revelation, wedding bathroom breakdown. So let's say I like number 2. I might just go ahead and do 2. Look closely at these 2 glasses of water. They look exactly the same, don't they? But here's what most people don't realize. One of these is what scientists now call dead water, water that's completely incapable of penetrating to cells to hydrate from within, while the other contains a strange molecular structure that allows it to slip past your cell walls and flood your dying collagen with life-giving hydration. Difference, it's invisible to the eyes, but visible to scientists at Harvard who discovered that when you change water's molecular structure in a very specific way, you can speed up collagen formation by 1,000%. That's not a typo, 1,000%. But here's what this is personal. The water you're drinking now, the water you're using to wash down your vitamins, the water you're hoping will hydrate your skin is almost certainly dead water. It explains why you can drink 8 glasses a day and still wake up with skin that feels like paper. While your fine lines keep getting deeper, while your cheeks look more hollow than ever, and why those expensive creams you bought, the ones that promise to restore the youthful glow, they can't reach the dying collagen deep beneath this surface. Good. And it's going a little bit longer than I would want it to be. Again, this is why it's important to know how to use AI and also know like what you're looking for, because just keep it to 100, 200 words and no visual description. Still giving me this. Cool. So there we go. Nice little micro lead. And again, I want my micro leads to be as short as possible, so I'd go ahead and just edit it and probably take out a couple different lines. But that's a super quick example of what we would do, right? So let me say, just give me cool. So you have your micro lead here. You got your lead. Let's do some headlines too. Why not? Cool. So together, we don't want it to be more than 1,000 words. So as you can see, it's a little bit long, 1,500 words. All right. So what we'd have to do is just go ahead and trim and edit and chop this down to, probably about 1,000 words to make it as strong as possible. Okay. We could ask AI to do it as well, and it would probably do a good job. And let me see if I have. I don't think I have my headline ones uploaded yet. I don't have my headline ones on there. But you can just put your headline ones. We have a great headline bot, and it would just write you different headlines, and then boom, you have a nice little lead. And by the way, this is something that you can sell to people. You can use it if you're trying to do client outreach. You can pop these up like super, super fast and ship these up to people to test, and they're usually super easy to test. And boom, it's done. I mean, this is pretty It's pretty solid. I mean, it's got all the right elements on there. The writing is all good. And as long as you put those right elements together, it's just going to be super, super solid. Cool. I think that's everything. Let me see what this is real quick. Oh, here's one other lead. I'm going to end with this one. I mean, one, because it's a workshop that we're doing. So if you're interested, you can join it. But just to show you, like, this is an example of an internal warm traffic sales letter. It does not follow any of the structural stuff that I just showed you, right? It's just following the sort of internal logic of what we're doing. You could put this in a category and a framework, but I'm just going to put this here and read it because, again, I think the copy is really, really good, and I'll highlight some of the important parts. But the other reason is because it shows you that you don't need to follow the specific formula, right? You can kind of do whatever it is that you want. So let's look. For copywriters, media buyers, creative strategists, and DR businesses who want to dominate cold traffic, join nine-figure marketers Luke Mills, Ehat, and Mario Castelli, the Infinite AI Ads Machine VIP Workshop. Okay, we'll walk you through our cash creative strategy system we use to quickly produce 300 to 400,000 high-profit ad concepts. Plus, we'll actually help you implement the step-by-step. So you leave this workshop with a full suite of 30-plus hyper-relevant AI-powered creatives. Sora, VO, meme ads. We show you how to generate all of it so you can easily feed the algorithm with the creative diversity at scale. At least one of these ads is guaranteed to become a new top performer, or we'll give you your money back. On day 4, we'll even host a live roundtable with the most gangster media buyers we know, managing $1 million a month, sharing their best tips for what's working right now. Okay. As you can see, it just immediately gets very direct into all the promises, everything that you're going to have. I know you've been getting hammered with fear-mongering messages from marketers about the big, scary Andromeda update on Facebook, how it's causing ad performance to fall off a cliff. Talk about the great ads reset, things like that. It's not following the same the same exact structure of everything that I just showed you because you don't need to. Okay, you can be super direct, and especially once you master this, you know exactly what it is that you need to say. But what you'll notice is underneath the surface, a lot of the stuff is still the same, right? We have the pain points. We have specific named mechanisms. We have the outcomes that we're giving it. We have a reason why they need to act now, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so a lot of the stuff is still on here as well. So hopefully that answers how to write a really great lead. Probably the best thing you can do is just go through here and study these. Just read these a few times over, watch this video a couple times, and boom, you're going to know everything you need to write a lead. If you want to know more about copy blocks, again, I have free videos on this page. I also have a product. It's $27. I get emails all the time from people who are like, hey, this is the best copywriting product that I've ever bought. And I agree. It's like taken 5+ years of all my knowledge and all my studying and literally hundreds of thousands of hours of like intense study, condensing it to make it as simple as possible. Even marketers I know who literally work with companies like Performance Golf, which is like a 9-figure company, the guy who runs their emails, routinely tells me, he's like, I send people to your copy blocks videos. He's like, that alone changed the way that I do this process. People tell me they have copy blocks literally pinned. Copywriters have been doing this for years. They have it pinned on their laptop because it helps them understand how to do this. That is we have a video, but that product is literally $27. It will go through everything. It's like copywriting 101. And no matter how you like to write copy, I promise it will change a lot of things you do. There's also should be another one on there if you want to launch a marketing service business. I think it's a great thing that you can do right now. Make a few extra $1,000 per month, or 100, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. We have people who are making $30,000 a month using the exact same methodology that's on there. That's also $27. You can buy that. We walk you through the entire system, and you can opt in, and you can get this document and get a bunch of free stuff as well. And that's pretty much it. If you want to access to the ad workshop too, the thing to do is to jump into the email list, and you'll get an email about it. And that's basically it. So let me know in the videos, in the comments, what other kind of videos you want me to do. My goal is to be making a bunch more videos, like 4 to 5 videos per week. I have a bunch more lined up for you, and I'll just keep cranking them out as you guys ask for them. So that's it. Appreciate it.